that time of year again. Ramadan is around the corner and we can expect that there will be discussion of when to begin the month of fasting. So let's get into it. I want to start off by saying that the purpose of this video is to clarify which opinions are valid according to Islam and which opinions are actually invalid. There are two valid opinions according to Islam. The first is the global sighting opinion, which is that wherever a Muslim sights the moon anywhere in the world, then that marks Ramadan for the entire Ummah. The evidences to support this is that the Prophet ﷺ said, fast when you see it and break your fast when you see it, meaning the moon. This doesn't mean that each and every person has to see it themselves, and so the sighting of another Muslim is enough. This is because the Prophet ﷺ used to fast without personally seeing the moon, but because somebody else told him that they had seen it. Some people argue that the means of communication in the past meant that if the moon was sighted in one part of the world, they wouldn't be able to get the message across in time anyway. This is true. However, this does not negate the global sighting opinion. This is because of some ahadith which mention that the Prophet ﷺ began or ended Ramadan later because news of the moon had reached him late, obviously because communication took longer back then. And so if someone started Ramadan late, then they could make up their fast after Eid. Another point people raise is that if you follow the moon of another country, then you should follow their prayer times as well. This is quite frankly a silly argument. Firstly, the moon does not belong to any specific country. And secondly, the prayer times are to do with the movement of the sun, not the moon. Many ulama have supported the global sighting opinion, such as the second valid opinion is a local sighting opinion, which is that Ramadan or Eid begins when the moon is sighted but is restricted to the region or locality it was sighted in. The evidence to support this is the opinion of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, who did not accept the sighting from the people of Asham, but instead followed his own sighting in Medina. The issue some people have with this opinion is that the opinion of a Sahabi does not outweigh hadith. The hadith mentioned previously is left unrestricted and not confined to any area. Also, the fact that our Prophet ﷺ accepted the sighting from outside his own area is another reason why people do not follow this opinion. Imam Ash-Shawkani comments on the narration of Ibn Abbas saying, nevertheless, both of these opinions are based on Islamic evidences and therefore both are held as valid, and so if you follow the global or local sighting, Ramadan and Eid Mubarak in advance. As for the invalid opinions, there are two main ones. Some people follow the sighting of Saudi Arabia. If you follow the global sighting opinion and Muslims from Saudi sight the moon, no problem. If you follow the local sighting opinion and live in Saudi, no problem. But if you live outside of Saudi and you only accept the sighting of Saudi and you reject the sightings of, for example, Indonesia or Morocco or Afghanistan, then this is an invalid opinion. Why? Because there is no evidence for following the Saudi sighting only. Firstly, Saudi didn't even exist until recently. Secondly, show me an ayah or hadith which mentions to follow Saudi or even the Hijaz specifically when it comes to the sighting of the new moon. Some will argue that you must follow the Wali al-Amr, the legitimate Islamic authority. Firstly, the Saudi regime is the illegitimate child of Britain and the US. Secondly, they are anything but Islamic. Thirdly, if you take them as your Wali al-Amr, then go to Saudi and live under them. Whichever way you look at it, following Saudi specifically is an invalid opinion. Some say that we need not sight the moon at all and that instead we can use calculations. This is invalid for the following reasons. Firstly, the word mentioned in the hadith, ra'a or ru'yatih, means to sight with the eye, and the literal meaning is taken here. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ said in regards to the new moon, we neither write nor calculate. So calculation and all these funky graphs which get posted around, they are not acceptable to begin the new month. This is what some scholars have said about using calculations. It must be said, the issue of moon sighting has left this ummah divided and at each other's throats. However, this issue is not because of different opinions, but because of our political disunity. Our lands are divided into nation states, each with their own claim of Ramadan, each with their own government who announces to the people. The only time we as an ummah will all observe Ramadan together is when we as an ummah live under one central authority announced by the global leader of the believers, the Amir of the Mu'mineen, the Khalifa. This will be the end of divisions and the unification of the Muslims politically and spiritually. And finally, we as an ummah will then be able to observe Ramadan and Eid all together. Inshallah.
فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه